I just saw Fantastic Four naked. Why am I naked? I saw Fantastic Four the long and totally legal way. Okay. And I can't believe I'm saying this. I liked it. I liked it more than Superman. I really liked Superman. Also, my house is a crusty mess. Beer time. Fun fact, you can drink beer long after its expiration because the expiration is really just when it stops being shit. But I don't have a sense of smell and beer is always tasting bad, so who cares? It's still safe was the point. Okay, so I might be slightly drunk. But I did like it a lot more than Superman. And I really liked Superman. And I think moviegoers on average are reviewing Superman higher. Both have had some pretty rocky film careers. They've both been rebooted a bunch. I'm actually kind of surprised the Fantastic Four has been rebooted as much as it has. I guess it's had. Well, this is its third one. Fourth movie overall? Fifth! Think? No. Fourth? Right, because I fucking lose track of these. There's so many superheroes getting redone. But this movie had a lot of heart, just like Superman, and it was a nice redemption for all the characters. They were pretty well done in the 2000s, early 2000s Fox movies, earlier 2000s. And I thought Marvel Studios making one of these would mean it would be very, well, I call it Marvel loaf because there's the Feige formula. Armpit? The formula is formulaic. He wants his movies to feel a certain way, but this phase, like I've said, the post-Endgame phase is probably the best because it's had movies try different things. The shows have been, that's where kind of the loaf feeling stuck to because the movies have, like I said, been trying different things. Eternals was okay, but at least very different from what came before it. Shang-Chi was amazing. There was a lot of like kung fu and just cool stuff done in it. I guess there was Spider-Man No Way Home. That was probably the loafiest of them. Good overall still, especially because it incorporated Spider-Man, all of it movie. I'm 60 pounds overweight. I don't remember my point. Oh yeah, this phase has been pretty good. Oh no, Ant-Man 3 was penis. That was the loafiest. Ugh. Not a bad movie, but just everything else was trying to be different. Except No Way Home. And then that just kind of came out and was that. And like I said, the shows were just wet farts. Daredevil showed up in one of them, or when the fuck what phase is Echo in? I can't even finish that one because Disney Plus won't put subtitles in the show and a lot of people speak with sign language. It's a very real problem. Anyway, this movie was great. Probably the best of the phase, and the best Marvel movie overall, and the best they've done in a long time. But I guess if it was one of the best they've done overall, that would be true. The movie, like, it takes place, there's gonna be spoilers. The movie takes place in its own universe, which at first I was kind of bothered by, but it allows for their history to be established kind of on its own. And they basically turn the world into a utopian society, more or less. I mean, it's still the world, but they've pretty much got world peace going. I think all the nations disabled their, like, major weaponry. Reed was even policing things himself, I guess. He was like, well, he was more just tracking a bunch of major criminal organizations and had the police kind of getting them all at once in one scene. He's just on the balcony and the cops are just flying around because everybody has flying cars. A lot of people do. The cops do. Anyway, yeah, they've kind of helped the world become a better place while still being the world. I forget the name of the city. I don't even think it's in New York. It's in like its own city. But they go through their history and stuff, and they recreate the iconic cover with the giant monster, or the Gog is his name. Like, that was awesome. They touch on Mole Man and a bunch of other, like, crusty old classic villains. And by this point of the movie, they're well established. And Sue Storm, my cat is crying. Sue Storm becomes pregnant, and Jimmy! She and Reed had been trying for a while. At the start of this movie, they conceived Franklin. Jimmy! Shut up! And as this is happening and they're talking about how peaceful everything is, the sky fucking lights up and the Silver Surfer shows up. And My camera is pretty laggy. And it's not Norrin Rad. So all you people saying Silver Surfer's woke and a girl now, she's actually another character, which a friend told me, and they say her name, I forget what it is, but she's a different Silver Surfer. You find out later she was a scientist who gave up her life in order to spare her planet, because that's apparently something Galactus just does. He did it with Norrin Rad, and he did it with her. That's kind of how he gets his heralds. But she shows up, and she's like, yep, Earth is gonna get fucking beatered by Galactus. Bye. And then Human Torch flies off after her. She says a line in her language to him. Reed Richards takes to trying to track where Galactus is coming from and sees other planets that have clearly been destroyed and have her energy signature on them. And they pick up a bunch of transmissions of various civilizations. One of them is hers, and later on Human Torch learns her language using like one phrase and what she told him. He cracks the code himself and uses it in a really cool scene where he confronts her about what she's done as a herald and plays all the recordings of people dying, basically like worlds just dying, and is talking to her in her language and guilting her, and that pays off later. So Human Torch actually got to be smart, and he was kind of like still the Human Torch, but they wanted to play down his womanizing, but he still liked women, because the joke is that he liked Silver Surfer because he runs into her kind of in space, and he loves space, so he's seeing space reflected on her, and she's pretty. So at one point they're like, oh yeah, space and she's pretty, of course you felt like you had a connection with her, because she seemed like nice to him when she said the phrase to him, but the phrase ended up being go die with your own, so she wasn't being that warm and nice to him, and she kind of flipped him off her board and left. And then they eventually get to chasing Galactus down because they pinpoint where he is. And this is where the movie is awesome, because it's Fantastic Four cosmic horror. They get to a planet and it's clearly dying because like a rift, or it starts, there's like molten crusting going on, and then they're like, what, is something alive down there? And then a big fucking cylindrical ship comes tearing out of the planet, and it's Galactus's ship because he's inside of it, and he eats planets by just boring through them with this thing, and they get pulled aboard. And Silver Surfer's like, you shouldn't have come here, but Galactus will see you now. And they had no choice, which was awesome, because he pulled him in with a tractor beam and wanted to discuss things. And there's a subtle like explanation of what the ship does, because you see Earth being like ground Earth, not Earth being conveyed through the ship, and it's clearly being fed to him. And then they are talking to him, and by this point Sue Storm is very pregnant, and Galactus senses the baby in her, and it's Franklin Richards, so he's a fucking omnipotent fetus baby thing, and Galactus, it's revealed, wants him so that he can like absorb Galactus's role, absorb the hunger that Galactus is stuck with, and then it'll free him. And I guess, I'm assuming he wants to die. He reveals he's billions of years old and is tired of the hunger. He doesn't really want to keep eating planets, he just has to, and he's very old, and he reveals he was as tiny as them at one point, so who knows what he was. But Reed Richards, like later on, they have Herbie, who's all around the movie. Herbie had been collecting samples on the ship while this conversation was happening, and they find out Galactus predates the universe. So just like in the comics, he's before the universe he lives in, and at some point he became a big angry planet meat eating man. They end up having to run from him in this awesome scene because his ultimatum is give me Franklin or I eat the planet, and they're like no. So Human Torch starts like bursting pipes and shit in the ship, and they spray magma onto Galactus, and everybody has to run, and Silver Surfer's chasing them, and there's like kind of a cool exchange where they're all taking turns trying to like stop her, and she's just kind of shrugging them off, and they have like a ship that goes into like this light speed jump gate thingy that attaches to it, and that's what'll let them get to Galactus' ship because it's very far away. And there's like a cool chase where they're trying to get back to the ship and then get back to that ring, and then they're flying through like faster than light space Human Torch is trying to shoot Silver Surfer and does like a cool light bending thing because the wormhole, whatever tunnel they're in, is bending the laser. It was a cool scene, and Sue Storm gives birth in the ship during this chase. They come back to Earth. There's a cool little like space time travel thing when they get to Earth, because the news is there announcing that they're back from their month-long return home. And they had to do like in order to escape from Silver Surfer, they had to fly through the faster than light tunnel thing and leave near a neutron star. And they sacrificed their faster than light travel thingy and turned the ship invisible with Sue's power. So Silver Surfer thinks they've blown up and gets sucked into the neutron star while she's distracted, which was kind of dumb that she allowed that to happen, but I mean, what the fuck else were they gonna do? They were kind of written into a corner. And they slingshot around the neutron star and then do some mathematics to use light speed travel to get back home somehow. So a month had passed, and I mean, they've been flying around a neutron star and traveling at the speed of light. So they were really only gone for maybe a few hours, maybe a day at most, but yeah, I thought that was cool. And so they get back to Earth, and of course everybody's like, so, did you beat Galactus? How'd that go? Well, they're like, walk us through how you beat him. And they're just like, beat him? Shit. And then they explain what Galactus wanted, and the world is like, give up your son, you fucks, to save us. And there's one point where Reed Richards is even thinking that, but it's only because he's trying to calculate possibilities. And he's established to be kind of a cold, calculating individual who's still like good deep down. And he and Sue kind of have a moment about that. But then like they kind of resolve that later when Sue takes the baby and goes out to like the crowd gathering around the Baxter building. And she's like, I'm not going to sacrifice my son to save the world, but I'm also not going to sacrifice the world to save my son. And that kind of warms the crowd back up to them, because they were being real bastards. I guess I get where they're coming from. It's one baby for like who knows how many people. I'm assuming around a few billion on that planet, because they're kind of like they're not in modern times, but the technology is very modern thanks to the Fantastic Four, or very beyond technology of that time. Cars were still old looking, but they also had flying cars and robots like Herbie, so they were maybe as advanced as the MCU main universe, which they call 616, which is dog shit. But yeah, Sue in this movie I liked a lot. Like, I used to have a crush on Jessica Alba, especially when she was Sue Storm, but this Sue Storm I think is like hotter in a different way, and that's what I base everything on. I'm shallow. No, her characterization was really good. She was smart. I'm not shallow. She was very well done. And so was Thing. Here's the thing. He still encapsulated the Thing's personality, but they didn't make him as gruff. He seemed smarter. I mean, Thing is pretty smart, but they just made him kind of carry himself better, I guess. And he grows a beard, because they have to have like power curfews because of a plan I'll get to later. And Thing accidentally starts letting his beard grow, and he can't shave it all before the power cuts off because it's like an 8 p.m. curfew. And Torch kind of jokingly tells him it looks good, so then he keeps it and lets it fully grow out. But he had been like grinding it down, which is kind of interesting. I never really thought about that.